Oh, man, it's been a minute. What's up, YouTube? Welcome back to SpeedYGO, and it's nice to meet you guys. So after taking yet another hiatus from the game due to school and work and life and other things that tend to take priority over Yu-Gi-Oh!, I decided to finally make my triumphant return back to Yu-Gi-Oh! And boy, it's been a blast. I gotta say, I missed the game so much. I hadn't really played the game at all since the last video I made on this channel, which was a long time ago. So the fact that, I was able to come back to the game and I've just been having non-stop fun playing the game since then. But if you know me, you know I'm a competitive person, and having fun playing the game every week is nice and all, but I want to compete and I want to win, man. For those that don't know, I started playing Yu-Gi-Oh! Back in late 2019, around summer or fall of 2019 is when I really picked up the game. And I had always looked forward to going to a big event like a regional or a YCS. Unfortunately, just a couple short months after I started playing the game, this little known thing called COVID-19 kind of came along and shut down the whole Yu-Gi-Oh! World. Regionals, YCSs, that was all gone in the blink of an eye, and I wasn't able to make it. I ended up playing the remote YCS over the summer last year, which is my first big event that I've ever played. I made a video on it. You can see that up here. I never felt like I got the full experience from playing that event. I mean, I played all 9 rounds that I ended up playing of that event from this chair that I'm sitting in right now. So I never really got the full experience of the big event. But now, with COVID restrictions finally lifting and in-person events finally back in the Yu-Gi-Oh! Scene, I was finally able to make it to my first ever in-person regional event right in my hometown of Edison, New Jersey. I was so glad when I checked the regional locations list this year and saw that they brought regionals back to Edison, New Jersey. I got to see a lot of my friends that I've been playing the game with for the past couple years. I got to meet a lot of new people, a lot of new friends that I made throughout the day, and a lot of really good players. So I kind of wanted to make this video to share my experience and also a little bit about the deck that I played this past weekend in my first ever regional. First of all, the registration process for this event was an absolute nightmare. I had pre-registered for the event several weeks ago. I was already signed up for the event last month. It still took me until like 11 o'clock to get into the venue, through the line. The pre-reg line was longer than the non-pre-reg line. That was insane to me. I mean, this may sound normal to those of you that have played, in these big events before, but this is, as a first-time participant in one of these big tournaments, that was like, I was so mind blown that it took me so long. The line going, the pre-reg line was out the door and down the parking lot, and it took so long to get into the venue. By the time the event was supposed to start at 10 o'clock in the morning, I didn't get into the venue until 11:30. And then I had to play 10 rounds of Yu-Gi-Oh! That was a nightmare. Past the nightmare that was the registration, getting into the event, seeing the big, just the big venue, the big convention center that we were in, with all the tables and the vendors lined up and all the players. It was really cool because as a person that has never played anything bigger than a 20 to 30 person local tournament, seeing 500 people all playing the same game that I am in one setting is absolutely insane. It was a really cool moment just to walk into the venue, right? So now that we got the whole pre-tournament experience that I had to go through out of the way, it's time to get into what deck we ended up playing. So one of the hardest things to figure out before attending a regional is figuring out what deck to play. And for my first event, I really wanted to go with something that I knew I was going to enjoy playing, because I knew this was going to be a long day. It ended up being 10 rounds. I didn't know if it would be more or less. I just knew it was going to be a very long day. So I wanted to play the entire day with something that I knew I truly enjoyed playing. And that deck was Adamancipator, the greatest deck to never top an in-person large event. Probably one of the craziest decks that this game has ever seen in its lifeline. So I decided to put my own spin on the deck and take it to my first regional. And I think it went pretty well. It definitely could have gone better, but we'll talk about that in a minute. I just want to get into the deck profile real quick. So we're going to start off with our deck profile here. We're going to start off with 3 of every Adamancipator tuner. This is pretty standard in pretty much every single Adamancipator build. You want to see these as much as possible. You want to get to your tuner access because these are your power cards. Obviously, the RNG factor of these cards can be determinant of how your games are going to go, which did come up a couple times, unfortunately. And then the last Adamancipator card we play is the 1 blue crystal Dragite. Just a target, a nice level 4 target, let you draw a card off the summon. You could play this at 2. I used to play this at 2 before this event. I decided this is the first event that I decided to play this at 1. I used to play a 46 card main deck with, I believe, 16 targets that hit off the tuners. Last minute, I decided to change my list for the regional, drop it down to 13 relevant targets to summon off the tuners, and a 44 card main deck, so I can just main some more hand traps and interactive cards that I think that would have helped me play against the other decks. So we cut Dragite down to 1 for this list. Next up, other rocks. We're playing 3 Guardian, 3 Supplier. Guardian is just an MVP of this deck. Obviously, opening Guardian Researcher most of the time, as long as the RNG goes your way, is pretty much an FDK. I mean, this card is just ridiculous. Lets all your plays go off hand trap free, and Supplier is a really, really good extender and way to get into your Guardians as well. Next up, more targets to hit off the tuners. We have 2 Doki and the 1 of Rock Band Xena Guitar. Doki's obviously a really good card to get you into your engine. It's a really big hand trap bait. Baits out Ash Blossoms, baits out Imperms and stuff like that. Just a really, really good card, obviously, especially when it goes off. And then Xeno Guitar is a little bit of a suspect choice. I don't see a lot of lists playing this, but I absolutely love this card. People have tried so hard to get me off this card, but I feel like every single time that this card comes up in a grind game, it saves me the game. I've called this card Boneless Block Dragon before, just because of all the follow-up this card can give you, all the recursion that this card can give you for turns later in the duel. Once you get into your grind game, I think this card is really, really good. I used to, just like the Dragite, I used to play this card at 2, bumped it down to 1, obviously to fit the new ratios that I was planning to play, but it did come up several times this weekend, and it was really, really good every single time I saw it. And the last rocks that's for the tuners that we're playing 3 Prank Kids Roxy's and the 1 Dropsies to go with it. This engine overperforms every single time you play the deck. Getting into your Prank Kids engine, it's just getting free bodies on board for your Link plays, your Synchro plays, your Xyz plays. Roxy's is just an absolutely great card to be able to climb into any of your extra deck plays. The only downside I would say about the Roxy's is you don't always have a card in your hand that you want to banish for its effect to draw and then get into the Dropsies. That's, I would say, the only downside of the card, but I mean the upsides are just astronomically better than that one singular downside. And this engine, like I said, overperforms every single time you play the deck. Next up, we're playing 3 copies of Parallel Exceed. I'd say this is pretty standard in most Adamancipator builds these days. Gets you into your rank 4 engine. It's just, again, like the Prank Kids engine, it's just more bodies on the field, whether you want to go into your Link, your Synchro, or your Xyz plays. And this card is actually really good because in tandem, with your Link monsters in your extra deck, you can actually chain block a lot of your stuff with this card. Your Huckle Firebrax, your Prank Kids, Link monsters, stuff like that. You can really easily chain block with the Parallel Exceed, which did come up several times this weekend. I know there was at least 2 times that I went to summon Huckle Firebrax, and knowing that my opponent had an Ash Blossom in hand, and I was able to chain block with the Exceed and get my Hulk off for free, which was really nice. This card is just really, really good. Pretty mandatory in the deck, I would say. Also a really, really easy card to side out when you know you're going second in games 2 and 3. Rounding out the monster count, we have the 1 Plague Spreader Zombie. This is probably the best target to summon off of your Hulk. This card is also a 1-card Verte Anaconda, which is really, really useful in this deck because DPE is one hell of a card. Next, we have our 3 Adamancipator signs. This is probably the single best card in the deck, and I'm not even joking. The fact that there is no once per turn clause anywhere on this card makes it absolutely busted. Seeing this card in multiples, is just insane for playing through hand traps, playing through interruption, trying to break boards. The second effect to be able to stack a card is ridiculous when you're summoning a tuner past turn 1. I mean, this card is just so good at any point in the game. Next up for our main deck inclusions, we are playing our DPE package, Celestial Dasher, and Double Fusion Destiny. This engine also overperforms every single time you play the deck. Celestial came up numerous times this week. This card single-handedly won me at least 3 games this weekend. It is just an absolutely ridiculous card. Every single time you get into this engine, you basically are in for, some success. And rounding on our main deck, we have our defensive cards. So we're playing kind of an interesting hand trap lineup of double Ash, double Bell, 1 Nib, and double Imperm. And the reason we're playing these weird ratios is because we were also main decking triple crossout designator. This is obviously a proxy. Shout out to my friend Vivek, who is kind enough to lend me his playset of crossouts for this event. Unfortunately, this card sucked. This card, I think I resolved it maybe once this weekend. I think I resolved it exactly once to negate an Ash Blossom in a game that I was already winning. And I don't think the Ash Blossom would have stopped my turn. So this card was not very good this weekend. That could be, partially be my fault, because I think I might have been playing the wrong hand traps. There was a lot of times, I think the hand trap that I got, I think the hand trap that my opponents used on me the most this weekend was Ghost Ogre, and I was not playing Ghost Ogre in my build at all. That's probably my fault. I probably should have been better prepared and made my side deck accordingly, or even played, Ghost Ogre over one of these hand traps. But that's just what happened. Every single time I got hand trapped this weekend, it was Ghost Ogre. And obviously, crossout can't banish Ghost Ogre if I'm not playing Ghost Ogre. I mean, the hand trap lineup itself was like okay, I guess. Quick little recap of how my day went. I lost 7 out of 8 die rolls that I played. I won 1 singular die roll the entire day, and that match I 2-0'd in about 10 minutes. Every single other round that I played, I lost the die roll. So every single other round, I was going second game 1, and I had saw a total of 3 hand traps in my opening hand across the 8 rounds that I played. A total of 3 in my game 1 opening hand. So you can kind of surmise how my day went just based off of that. Hindsight is 2020. I would probably wish I had played more hand traps, but who knows. I might, going forward, if I decide to play the deck, I'll probably switch up the ratios and see what works out. But yeah, I mean, that's just how it went this weekend. All right, moving on to our extra deck, we're going to start off with our links. The 1 Almirage, you have to play this because, especially when you're playing cards like Supplier and Exceed, linking off, your Researcher or your Crystal or the Xenoguitar, which is also another reason why I like Xenoguitar, is because you can normal summon and link it off your Almirage. You just kind of have to play this card. Our Prank Kids links, we have 1 Meow Meow, 1 Dodo. We play the Dodo over the Bow Wow because it's a wind and it's relevant for the Raptite. We don't play Leonite in this build, so we don't need any of the fire attributes. Rounding out our link 2s, we have the 1 Hulk. You're basically playing Hulk Turbo in this deck. And then obviously the 1 Verte with the DP to go into it. Like I said, this engine pretty much overperformed. This card is the single best card in the game, and it's not even close right now. Yeah, I mean, not much to say about DP at this point. Next we have our Unicorn to climb into our access code, and rounding out with the Appaloosa, which is one of our main board enders. Next into our synchros, we're playing the one Raptite and the one Dragite as our Adamancipator synchros. Both these cards are absolutely ridiculously broken. Every time you resolve Dragite going second, you basically win the game. It's, you know, both these cards are just ridiculous. And then we have our one Borreload Savage Dragon and a late edition, the one Baron de Fleur, another proxy. Shout out to my friend Max who let me borrow his for the event. This card was really good this weekend. I made this card every single time that I could, and it basically won me the game every single time I played it. So yeah, those are our synchros. And then rounding out our extra deck are two rank 4s, one Gallon Granite and the one Dweller Gallon Granite. Obviously you turbo into this card with cards like Exceed and Supplier, and the Prank Kid engine gets you into your tuners, gets you into your full combo. And then Dweller, I played 3 Prank Kids and 2 Eldritch this weekend, and this card shuts down anything those two decks do. I made Dweller going first game 3 against one of my Prank Kid Brave players, and he literally drew his hand and said, "I cannot do anything. GG, well played." This card is really good. I'm really glad I included this because I used to play Herald of Arclight in this build. I decided to switch it for Dweller, and Dweller has absolutely overperformed ever since I made that switch. Really good card. And we're going to round out with what was probably the worst part of the deck, which is going to be the side deck. We're just going to go over it really quick. We have 3 Droll for the Flunder matchup. We have a late edition of 3 DD Crow. I used to play, I had Token Collector in my side deck, and while I was on the registration line waiting to get into the venue, my friend convinced me to play DD Crow instead, and it came up exactly once. I didn't play any Sword Soul, so I don't think Token Collector would have actually really come up that much. But I mean, Crow is just, I guess, okay. Again, it only came up once, I think, the entire weekend. So, you know, it is what it is. And then we're also playing a little bit of spice. We're playing 3 Dimension Shifter. I only played 1 Flunder this weekend. So, you know, this card performed pretty much against every other deck. Unfortunately, I only saw it twice the entire event. I saw it once against Prank Kids, and I saw it once against Cyber's Eldritch, and both times it ended their turn and I won the very next turn. This card is ridiculously broken. It doesn't really hurt my deck. If you're siding this in, all you do is basically just side out your Prank Kid engine, side out your Plague Spreader, and then put in whatever you want, including the 3 Shifter, and then you can just pop off, and if you end up seeing this card. Really good card. Playing 3 copies of Dark Ruler no more. I didn't have access to Forbidden Droplet, so we had to play a going second Board Breaker card, and Dark Ruler was the card of choice. And then 3 copies of Cosmic Cyclone for the back row decks. Like I said, this is probably the worst part of the deck, was the side deck. These cards rarely performed. Droll won me a game against Flunder. Like I said, Crow didn't come up. Shifter won me 2 games. But I basically sided it in every single game, going second. So seeing, you know, only winning 2 games out of however many possible games it could have won, I would say it underperformed. Dark Ruler, I don't think came up once. Actually, I lied. It did come up once, but I didn't use it right. I missequenced my plays and decided to normal summon the Guardian before using the Dark Ruler, when I should have used the Dark Ruler first to stop his Griffin Rider. And then Cosmic Cyclone just didn't do anything. I sided in once against Eldritch, got rid of 1 back row, and had to stare down 3 more, so it didn't do anything. You know, going forward, I don't know what I would change. Let me know down below what you think I should change in this going forward, because I haven't a clue. My motto that I told my friends after the event was that I'm just going forward, I'm going to play more purple cards, because I mean, purple cards win you games. Trap cards are just so good in the current game. I think I would play more trap cards, stuff like Evenly Match, Anti-Spell Fragrance, stuff like that. I think I would play going forward. And yeah, I mean, that's pretty much the entire deck there. Quick recap of my event. Like I said, I played 3 Prank Kids. I played 2 Eldritch variants. I played 1 Pure and 1 Cyberse Eldritch. I played a pure Phantom Knight player, not even the Scythe Lock. He was playing like Phantom Knight's Dragoon, like the original before Scythe Lock DP stuff came out. He was playing like Dragoon PK stuff. And I played a Flunder player. I think I'm missing one. Oh, I played a Drytron too. That was fun. Yeah, and I ended up going 4-4, and I dropped out of the event after round 8. I kind of had an on-off day. Like I said, I lost 7 out of 8 of my die rolls. I was on the back foot pretty much the entire day. The only die roll that I won was against the Cyberse Eldritch player, and I won that match in about 10 minutes. I lost the die roll. Every combo deck that I lost the die roll against, I opened up 0 hand traps. But yeah, I mean, not much more to say about how the games went. That's really how my day went. I went 4-4. I went very average. Now, I lost the same amount of games that I won. You know, you can't really complain. For a first regional, I think I played pretty well. I did make some misplays. I definitely noticed, you know, some misplays that I made. I sided out my DP package going first against Eldritch, which was not the right move to make, but you know, it was late in the day and my brain wasn't functioning at full capacity, I gotta say. But all in all, you know, even though I didn't do as well as I wanted to, I really wanted to get that top 64 to get my invite. But regardless, I still had an absolute blast playing. I had so much fun playing this game, man. I was talking to my friend afterwards, and I said that after playing the remote YCS last year, and I was so burnt out after that tournament that, you know, I basically immediately went on a hiatus from the game. I didn't play the game for several weeks, and I just wasn't interested in playing the game anymore. But after this event, it's the complete opposite. I can fully say that I am once again addicted to this game, and I just want to play and get better and prepare for the next event. There's another regional that I'm gonna be playing in a couple weeks in Philly. I'm really excited for that, and then hopefully YCS Hartford next month. That's our next destination. That's gonna be a hell of a ride to get to. Oh, I'm so excited for this next month playing this game, and I hope you guys are really excited as well, because content is back, man. Like I said, I'm addicted to playing Yu-Gi-Oh again, which means I'm once again addicted to making YouTube videos, and I think you're gonna like what's coming up next, because we're gonna try something new. I'll see you guys in a bit. Peace.